All right, everybody. Aloha Friday. Thank you for being with us today. I see a couple of you already getting in. Please let us know where you're joining us from as we are on part two of bringing back humanity to this world. And I am joined with Hadassa. She has grown to be a good friend, fellow co-laborer in authorship in our book, and has done her own book. We're going to be talking about that as well. But Aloha Friday Live is in full session. Hadassa, welcome to part two.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much. I am so honored to be here, first of all. And I'm so grateful. I'm just so grateful. And I thank you, Enrique, for giving me this opportunity to share my part two of my saga.
We was talking in the background. Life is, without underestimating it, full of surprises, full of ups, downs, sideways, sometimes upside downs. Um, but it is what makes us human, right? It is what allows us to share the what it is to be human, humanity. So many choices that we get. Um, and I say this because I shared a post yesterday. They had a lot of people on pins and needles, not knowing what's going on with Enrique. But I shared that post intentionally. Uh, I have a condition, unfortunately, that throughout the day, I'm fine. At night, I need help because I stop breathing, and so any day that I wake up is a blessing to me. So I just wanted to take a time to not only share that about my condition, but also the fact that I was so thankful to all the people in my life that have said yes, right? That have, and even those that maybe didn't say yes, but still supported, or and so I say all of that to say this: we cannot take our days for granted. We can't. Although we do, right? Some days I don't think about, am I going to be, alive tomorrow? I only really come to that at night when I'm going to sleep. But humanity, we have an opportunity to help our fellow man. I was telling my wife, I said, Ma, you only got to do two things while you're living on this earth: love the Lord thy God and love your neighbor as yourself. Everything else is kind of like, cherry on top. But hey, folks, I got Hadassa here, not to listen to me, but so that we can listen to her.
That's fine. Thank you so much. Thank you again for giving me this opportunity a second time. I shared a little bit about what's happened since with you. I didn't know whether I was going to have a place to live a month ago. Um, Everything just unraveled. And I asked myself, why did I write a book about mental resiliency? Why? I thought I had already gone through the test. However, things got a little bit worse and it put me to the test. And I had to lean on what I knew, and I had to observe my thoughts and also give myself a little bit of grace. And things just started to fall into place. And I found myself having to ask for help. And I had to become extremely vulnerable to do that. And there were some no's that I received. And I'm so grateful for those no's because they also allowed me to still hold those people in my heart with love, even though they said no. And then those that said yes, um, I am so grateful and so thankful for those that moved earth and sky to help me. And so I'm in my new place. I still have boxes all over the place. And Enrique, it's interesting that you talked about life. You know, you have another day, it's another chance. Well, the other night, as I was moving a mattress into one of the new bedrooms in the new place, my feet buckled under the mattress. And I was not paying attention to my son who was guiding me. He was pushing, I was pulling. I wasn't listening. I was trying to like just do everything, do. And my feet buckled under the mattress and I fell backwards. And I did not, I forgot how to fall in a graceful way. I literally fell back and I hit the back of my head. And I felt my head literally almost like when you crumble a bunch of plastic. I heard that in my head. And I just stayed there. Like I just stayed there, waiting to pass out. But I didn't pass out. But I was very disoriented and confused. And my son came over and he started asking me a lot of questions. I was saying things that I don't remember. I thought about my entire life at that moment, like it was seconds, but it was like my entire life was in. I forgot I had just moved to a new place. I didn't know where I was. I knew who he was, but I even jokingly said to him, "Who are you?" And he was really scared. He said, "Mom, we need to go to the hospital. We need to go to the ER to check you." And I said, "No, no, I'm fine. I don't want you to worry." And he insisted. And I remember growing up, my father was a very strong man and he didn't believe in going to the doctor or the hospital. He would just deal with whatever. And sometimes it would turn out to be worse because he didn't get the help that he needed. And at that moment, I realized I am not going to have my son go through this. I am going to say, yes, I will go to the ER. I'm not going to think about anything, cost, anything. We're just going to go. Luckily, the new place where we moved to the hospital is like 4 miles away. And the old place would have been very far. So everything works out perfect.
Hmm.
So I went in, I have a concussion. I still am recuperating from a concussion. So everything that I've been going through at that moment didn't mean anything to me. I wasn't worried about making ends meet. I wasn't worried about when am I going to have a full-time permanent position. None of those things mattered. The only thing that mattered was I need to take care of me, make sure that my brain is okay and I heal, and my son is okay. Life is the most precious thing. That's it. All the material things, they come and go, but I'm still here. And I'm so grateful that I can speak today and my memory has come back and I'm able to work. I work um, in a part-time position right now, temporary. And I got to tell you, my son says to me that I started mentioning my siblings. I say that I have 9 brothers and sisters, even though one did trans,
Hmm.
went to the other side. But I just started naming them and I started naming their birth dates. And I even remembered my ex husband's birthday. So I knew that my brain was okay and I was going to be okay. But it took me a while to remember where I was. I couldn't remember what I did the day before, but it's all coming back to me.
Yeah, I am glad that you are okay today. And you're right. When we get those moments where it seems like that's it, like, you know, and I didn't share this with you. specifically, but similar. Something similar happened to me, not as an injury, but as an experience where I believe I passed away during one of those events that I had, and but I ended up waking up, and just to me, I woke up in hell, and I didn't think about nobody. How I saw and everything, I didn't think about not one person except where I was, and then I was there for forever. I woke up, obviously. Don't know if it was a dream. I don't know. It just seemed too real for me. It was just too real. But anyway,
And that's
um,
so interesting because it's my experience was completely different. So we all have these weird experiences that are individually maybe customized to us,
mhm.
whether it's our thoughts, our belief system, or whatever, it doesn't really matter. But all I know is that when that happened to me, all I thought about was my loved ones and people. And it was almost like, oh my gosh. So for me to have seen my entire life in a matter of seconds, and maybe it's the brain, it was kind of shaken up. It was interesting, but it put things in perspective. And I am so grateful for life, for being here. And I know that my mission here is not over yet. And I had to go through that because it's still part of the alchemy of words and thoughts. Because even coming back, every single day, I am monitoring my thoughts and the words that I say to myself and the words that I say to people. Um, and also, I am recognizing each human's individuality and the value that they bring into this world. Even the people that are not good people, they have to be here so that we have that contrast. If we don't know darkness, how else are we going to appreciate the light? If we don't know, let's say, quote unquote, hell, how would we appreciate heaven, those heavenly moments? So that's humanity. Bringing humanity back is that every single one of us is born and every single one of us is going to be not here one day. And what do you do between that and the other? How are you going to decide to live your life? That's really the only thing that matters. And give yourself a little bit of grace and forgiveness. And if you didn't do a good job the day before, well, try to do a better job the next day. Um,
Yeah, it's amazing the journey of humanity as we know it, right? Because even as we're going through, we don't know it all. There's just no way.
no,
It's like not like Neo in the Matrix. You plug something in the back of your head and then you download stuff. It's not like that. Our life is an experiential type of journey. We have to go through some things, albeit sometimes we would say not necessary. Right? Was it necessary for you to fall? Was it necessary for me to have to? Well, in our life, yes. In our particular journey, yes, it had to go that way, because then we won't know um, what great is, right? If you know what's okay and all you experienced was okay, you don't know what good is. If
right?
all you knew was good, you don't know what great is,
Yeah,
right? And
yeah.
so you have to journey with a thought, like you mentioned. Individual lives have their value,
Hmm.
and if you allow them to be the value and not impose your value, then we will see a different world. We'll see a different world because even those that maybe don't have it all in the bag, and are not great actors, right? They just they go their own way. They're rebellious and they do whatever they want.
Yeah.
Even they will notice that people are giving them an opportunity to be them.
Yeah, and another thing, even those people that think that we think have everything in the bag, they don't. They don't. Human beings, we're still trying to figure things out every single day. We're trying to figure out what it is to be a human, right? As we continue to live. And even people that are older or they're about to pass away, I'm sure that they were still figuring it out. There are things that we will never know. And that's okay that we will never know these things. We can make assumptions. We could go to several different holy books, whatever they say, and maybe that's the answer. Maybe that's, we just don't know. We just don't know because we were not there even during those times that those holy books were written or whatever. But what we have is now. And if you live your life within that framework of be kind to yourself, be kind to those around you. Um, and you said something interesting, love your brother as thyself. It sounds beautiful, but what if you don't love yourself? How could you possibly be able to impart that love to your fellow human if you are mistreating yourself and you are abusing yourself? If that's the level of love that you're giving yourself, that's exactly the level of love that you're going to be giving to somebody else. So it starts with self always. And then you're able to give that. But you cannot give what you don't have. However, I have found that even though I may not have all of that love at that level, as I practice giving love, something happens inside of me. That love grows. And you know how they say it's better to give than to receive. I've been receiving a lot of help lately, but I felt so great being able to give a little something. Even today, I was able to give something back today. It was a very small amount, but I felt so happy in my heart that I was able to give back. And I felt abundant, even though my bank account doesn't say that I'm financially abundant, but I just felt so abundant.
Right.
And it's that feeling. It's the feeling when you feel abundant, abundance comes to you. When you feel loving, love comes. When you feel kindness, kindness comes to you. So it starts with you being in that place. And then you attract those things because we are like magnets, right? Now, if you start the day off angry, complaining, somebody crosses you on the road, you start your whole day bad. You did it. Nobody else did it. So if somebody crosses while you're driving, they get in front of you, they're in a hurry, they're driving crazy. Rather than saying, mira ese loco, look at that crazy nut, he's going to kill somebody, whatever. Why don't you think, oh my gosh, he might just be having an emergency. Maybe there's a pregnant woman in the car who's about to have a baby. Why do we always have to think the worst? So when you rewrite that in your mind, you don't have to carry that anger towards that person or that resentment, because then you get to work and what do you do as soon as you walk through the door? Oh my God, you should have seen this crazy nut driving. Then you start retelling it. So you're staying in that soup of resentment and anger for the whole day. So
Yeah, it's a careful, I say, well, delicate dance. It's a delicate dance that we get into, day in, day out, of how do we keep humanity ours, right? Not even let's not even talk. You talk about, hey,
No.
focus on you. How do you keep humanity here?
Yeah.
How do you maintain this vessel um, in line and congruent with what a good, decent, and loving human would be like, right? Um, and you're gonna come across a ton of scenarios on a daily basis. I take my daughter to her job site every morning, so I get to see those crosses. And I get to see those locals, right?
Right.
Because everybody's got a different agenda. Everybody, uh, regardless of whether they're gonna sit at the light while you kind of like slowly go behind them, and you're like, why you did that for? Look at where you at. But what we never consider, or seldom do we consider, um, I've turned to sometimes that I'm more conscious of what's going on, to just pray for them. I don't know if this is a selfish act. I don't know if this is one of those people that just they rush to everything, even if they're not late, or if they are actually in a emergency. So I just pray for their journey, and that they don't hurt anyone, right? And then I leave it, and then amazingly enough, well, it's done,
Yeah. And
right?
that's the best thing you do. You gotta leave it because it's really none of your business what that
Yeah.
person is going through. And not only that, but there are, you made me think of something. There are times that we try to do good, but we're not asking ourselves, why am I trying to do good? Am I trying to be good because I'm trying to collect brownie points?
Mm,
Or am I being good because I genuinely, from my heart, choose to do good? So when you choose to do good out of getting something, what's the intention there? So you have to ask yourself, what is my intention behind doing this or behind doing that? There were many years ago in which I was extremely, I always did good. I was very self righteous, very self righteous. Like, oh yeah, I'm collecting brownie points. The more good that I do, but it was not coming from the heart at all. So it's always about the intention behind what we do, what we do. But that comes with maturity and that comes with growth. And if you're trying to do good out of fear of something bad is going to happen if I don't do something good, then why even do good? You're just doing it out of fear. But if you're doing good out of joy, because it makes you happy, because you just love loving on people, then that's the right place because there are no conditions. And unconditional love is about not having conditions, but it starts with us. If you're loving yourself and you have all these conditions in place, that's not genuine loving yourself. Same thing with our family members, the way that we treat our immediate family, our immediate friends, our all of that. So, because sometimes we really honestly think we have it all figured out, but we really don't. We really don't have it figured out, and it's okay not to have it figured out. And when you realize, oh man, I thought I had it figured out, but I actually didn't. Okay, let me try to do better next week. You just be gentle with yourself. Um,
yeah, and gentle indeed, please. We're at the end of the day, we're all we have. If the world was to go somewhere, or if everybody left us, it's just us, and so we got to be happy with who we're left with, and not say, "Oh, great, I'm stuck with you for the rest of my life." Right? It has to be and start here, in order for humanity to become all it was meant to be. And if everybody collectively would say, it's me, it's me, oh Lord, the work right here, and let me develop uh, what I would be happy to have. If somebody gave me what I'm giving, and would I be happy? Would I be happy to receive it? And so, if you can get there, albeit you will never have it all in the bag. Uh, there are days that you just have to just admit, I don't know what's going on.
Enrique, when I lost everything, like I lost everything, right? Pretty much. It was it's the best thing that's ever happened to me because when I lost everything that I was attached to and I identified with, it allowed me to just be left with me. And then I'm like, oh, now I have to start getting to know who she is. I had never had that opportunity in the past,
Hmm.
you know. So I have been learning, introducing myself to me, not through the eyes of my parents, not through the eyes of my culture, not through the eyes of society, the job that I've had, the titles that I've carried. Um, None of those things were never me, but I identified with those things. Whether belief system, religion, we are always identifying with labels all the time. So when I fell and I had the concussion a few days ago, I just couldn't remember those things that I was attached to. I remembered people, but I
Wow.
remembered the feeling, the love. That's the one thing that I grabbed onto. And missing them and loving them and the joy that life brings. So it's almost like I had to start like with a clean slate. You see what I'm saying? And I love life so much, so much. And I just hope that people recognize how privileged we are to be here
Yeah.
and experience life, even during the hard times. Difficult times happen only if solutions exist. So when I started facing all these problems, I said to myself, okay, if there's a problem, that means that there's a solution somewhere. I just don't know what the solution is. Let me start asking. Let me start asking. And 9 times out of 10, a solution just pops in front of me. And there we go. It's all about your mentality, your thoughts. How do you navigate, all of these crazy things in your head? And reach out to your network. Listen to other people that are inspiring, who have gone through difficult times. How did they make it through? How did they make it through? And I said once before, not everybody makes it. Um, that's how it was meant to be for them.
Now you wrote a book and you pulled it out early, so I want you to show that again. And let's go through your you are living it. You're living it.
So, yes. So the thing is, okay, why did I write a book about mental resiliency? And when will I stop going through the tests of mental resiliency as if there's going to be an end? Like, where did I think that as I continue living as a human being, I am not going to exercise mental resiliency? That was a fallacy that I thought. It's like, oh, when I have the great job, oh, when I have the money, when I have the house, then I'll be happy. No, I have learned that you have to be happy now,
Mm.
content now. Feeling is the secret. Because when you are in that feeling of despair, fear, I'm a failure, you can't think straight. You're in this victim mode and there's no creativity. But if you pause for a minute and just breathe and hold on to yourself again and have that faith that the same way that you've gone through previous difficulties and you've made it through, you're going to make it through again. It might not be as fast, it might not be the same, but it's going to work out because you're still here. So, this little book, I wrote it, but I have found myself reading it again and again and again because I'm a human being just like everybody else. Just because I wrote a book about mental resiliency doesn't mean that I will never again have to exercise mental resiliency because I'm still a human being. We all go through stuff. And even if we have a lot of money and we have the material um, resources, things, life is a little bit easier, but we will still struggle with one thing or another. You know, you might live in a huge mansion with a huge property. It's beautiful. Well, maybe the one of your 25 trees is starting to look a little bit bad. Maybe that's the stress that you're going through for that individual at that level.
I
You
was
know,
just gonna say that your concerns and worries shift.
they shift.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because when I was in an apartment and I knew where all the exits were, and then I wasn't checking so much. I'm in this big house now. I hear a noise, and all of a sudden I'm into search mode. And so it's a different, different things.
let me tell you, Enrique. Before I found the place that I lived in, I nobody, I just couldn't find a place, right? And I had to reach out to agencies, like local agencies for help. I never knew these agencies existed had I not gone through the difficult time. Now I know that if I need someone who's struggling, I'll be able to refer them to the very agencies that helped me find the place where I live, or at least for financially they helped me. Not only that, but I'm getting ready to move into the new place and I find that there's toxic mold in the bedrooms.
Oh, wow.
So the day that I'm supposed to move, I had already brought my stuff in and the movers were coming. This was, I can't even have, I don't have the days straight, but it was a few days ago. And I couldn't stay there. So now I'm like, oh, so now, oh, it was Friday last week. So now it's Friday. I have no place to go. My stuff was delivered to the new place, but we couldn't stay there because it was toxic, right? I had no resources at all. When I said I've lost everything, I've lost everything. I started calling around. Either people were not around or they just couldn't. I was able to reach out to this one person that popped into my head. This individual, without questioning, immediately started searching for hotels for me on my behalf. Moved earth and sky so that I would have a safe place to sleep that night for me and my son. This woman didn't have to do this, but she did. And I'm so grateful. And I'm in the hotel that night and I'm thinking, I have a new place. I'm dealing with all that mold. They're going to be moving it. But I am in a hotel resting, clean, clean bed, right? Breakfast in the morning for free. Every morning, I ate breakfast for 3 people. Things that I usually don't eat. But I was so grateful. There was such a feeling of gratitude that when I went downstairs in the hotel room in the hotel to get the food. I got waffles, things that I never eat. I just ate them because I was so grateful that I had those meals there. So I never imagined going hungry again as an adult. I did go hungry as a child growing up in Puerto Rico when we hit hard times. But this trajectory that I've been on has been a trajectory of remembrance to keep me in check, to keep me in check and be grateful. And it's a bizarre situation, I say to myself, I'm going to be much older. This month is my birthday. I never imagined at 59 years old being in the situation that I am, where I have nothing, but I actually have everything. I don't know if you understand what I'm
Oh
trying to
yeah.
say.
Oh yeah.
I have everything, everything. I came into this world with everything as a newborn baby, and that everything is still inside of me. And it had to take what I've gone through to find that again. And I'm so happy. It's it's shocking to me that I'm okay. Even in the midst of the weeds, I'm okay. It's called being human. Humanity is, I'm so grateful. I have a roof over my head. I have a job, even though it's a temp job. Maybe that's what I need right now
Hmm.
because I was so much in the rat race for so long.
Yeah.
It's time for me to sit back and just take it easy.
And we have to appreciate these. It's hard to say we have to appreciate these moments, right? But when you really think about our life cycle, right?
Yes,
It's up and down. Everybody has it. There's
yes.
if there's anybody on this earth that says, "Oh, I never had a problem," woo,
The only time that that line is flat is when you're dead.
that's what
Okay.
I'm
So
saying.
while we're living, it's up and down. You look
Hmm.
at the monitor, the heart, it's always up and down, up and down, up and down. My trajectory has been up and down, up and down. But if you look at it from the big picture, it's been going up and down, up and down, up and down, but up. It's been
Mm,
going up. My life is a lot better than it was years ago when I was financially stable and things were a lot better financially and materialistically, right? But I wasn't the happy person that I am today, which is so weird because I'm so freaking happy. It's almost like annoying to myself sometimes. But it continues to go up. Just like you look at the charts, like the stock market. Oh my God, there's a crash. But then you look at it within a 5 year, or if you look at my 10-year period, it's only been going up. And it's going to keep going up, even through the valleys.
yeah, and it's a wonderful way of seeing it. We often focus on the micro, right, of what's
Yeah.
happening right now. Oh my goodness, this is the worst I've ever. And maybe this year, yeah, it's only been a month, really. Maybe this year it is the worst. But when you're talking about a lifetime comparison, yeah, I think all of us, right? Because I do remember like dirt floors in Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
I do remember that the casita we had was basically a wood frame, a four wood panels. That was the floor. We there was no linoleum, de que carpeta or none of that stuff,
None of
right?
that. And
None,
even people that, how many people have beautiful homes and mansions and they're miserable? They're broken or they're dealing with some type of terminal illness.
right.
So it's like, it's about the perspective. How do you How do you view life, and be prepared. There's always going to be losses in life, you know. Be ready. We're going to lose loved ones. It's just life. It's going to happen. But if you focus on the today, be grateful for today, do the best you can today. That's all that matters.
And it is a great perspective. We have to, and I guess when you're talking about all this humanity, um, just remember that humanity starts with you. If you can get there and focus on what you can become, right? Not everybody wants to be at the top. Not everybody wants to be on the bottom, but wherever it is that you've designated, it is the best place for you. Get there, get there. Sometimes, and most times, it's definitely not by yourself, right? So you're not
Yeah.
gonna get there by yourself. You're gonna get some help,
Hmm.
and when you do, you know, appreciate that. But I love what you said earlier. You know, the appreciation of the no's so that you don't get into this area of resentment, right? Because it's easy to say, "Oh, when I asked, you didn't." The choices, they people get to choose just like we do.
Their free will, yeah. And sometimes it's how many times have we said no? And then we're going to be shocked when somebody says no to us. Who do we think we are most of the time? It's sometimes we are so blind sometimes. It's like it's okay for us to judge others, but if somebody judges us, oh my gosh, the whole world has fallen apart. Well, if they're judging you, they're judging you according to their perspective, and there's really nothing you can do about that. Just be who you have to be. That's it. And like when I was in the dating scene, I would be looking at guys. I'm like, oh my gosh, I would never date that guy, blah, 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 whatever. But one day, I heard through somebody else, oh no, I would never date Hadassa. And I was so offended. And I realized, I thought, well, why can't that person have that? Maybe I'm not their type. And it's okay. Just like there were some single men that for me are not my type. So it's all about we're just so human beings are complicated beings. We're very complicated and we lie to ourselves all the time. And we take life way too seriously. Way too seriously. And life is to be enjoyed. Even when things are difficult, you can still enjoy life and be grateful to be here because you have an opportunity to try to make something out of something that's a mess. Maybe that's the project manager in me or the executive assistant career type of person that I am, in which I take messes and I kind of make sense, organize them. But yeah, I'm quirky. I'm me. You get what you see. That's it. And I really don't care whether somebody likes me or they don't like me anymore. I don't care. After what happened to me the other night, I don't have time to worry about what people think about me.
And it's amazing how those moments, right? For you, an actual physical occurrence. For me, nobody knows what that was. Was it was a dream or it actually happened? No one can attest to it, right? I didn't have no machines on me. Um, but uh, but what happens is that these little touch points in our life, however God does it, it's just amazing because, as I woke up from that, I was not good for like 4 days. I wasn't. I was a mess. I was a mess because it was so real.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, but I do everything to do good. So how in the world did I get there? But the point is that there's these touch points in our lives that causes us to go deeper than we have normally done. And then when you realize the the importance or the equivalency of importance compared to that moment of other things, you're like, how did I even get to put that in a position of authority?
Right. It's
But
about this, the mind. It's like you create that as the most horrible thing, or you know what, this really isn't that bad. I think I can handle this. I think I can do this. That's why my mantra will always be everything is always working out for me. Like I grabbed onto that mantra, and when I'm going through stuff, I go, everything's going to work out for me. Everything's always working out for me. Everything's, and it's like something shifts inside of me. I'm no longer in that fight or flight place. My energy changes. The way that I view the world changes. The way that I view my situation changes, and I'm able to act better instead of being that reactive panic mode. I'm able to pause. And I'm a Latina. I'm very passionate, um, intense sometimes, but I've had to learn to pause a little bit, just pause a little bit and observe not just the situation, but also observe how I am thinking about the situation, and then ask myself, oh, so you thought about that, but you're already dovetailing the rest of that story in your head when
mm,
it actually hasn't happened,
oh yeah.
just because the only reference that you have is something similar that happened in the past and then it transpired into something else. So now you're reliving that happened back then, and you have your chemicals, your hormones are all tied up into something that happened 20, 25 years ago. And you think it's going to happen exactly the same way today. So by you pausing and making that observation, and you look at that thought that just went through your head, and you stop it from dovetailing into something else. You nip it in the bud immediately. Say, no, I have all the power to change the way that I'm going to handle this situation today. And when you do that, everything shifts. Everything. That's also called maturity.
Yeah, and that reminds me so much. And for those of you that are sci-fi type, The Matrix is probably one of my favorite movies
Mine too.
because it has so many parallels to what we're living. And there's this one part in one of the trilogies that uh, but Agent Smith, he's throwing all this bullets, and parece que Neo se jaltó del abuso, right? He was tired of it, and he puts out his hand and he says no.
Mm.
And they start slowing down and they get to a hand almost, and then they just drop, and then everything opened up at
Yes.
that point. I mean, lights started shining.
Everything
Yeah,
changed.
everything completely.
So we're very habitual, right? So we're so used to the same thing. We get up on the same side of the bed every morning. We make the coffee. We drink out of the same cup every day. We're doing everything the same, the same, the same, the same. Okay.
Stop telling
One
on me.
So one thing that I would recommend we do is Start sh- shifting things around. Wake up on the other side of the bed. Use a different cup. Brush your teeth with the left hand instead of the right hand. Just do things a little bit different, because we're so programmed to do things the same every single day. So you're carrying your story with you into today, into tomorrow. So you're still carrying all that baggage, all that stress, all that trauma, whatever, again and again and again. But by shifting one little thing, it changes the rest, because it doesn't dovetail the way that it did before. That is something that I've learned to start doing. And I actually mentioned in my book that resource, and it was from Joe Dispenza, being superhuman. Becoming Superhuman is the name of the book. And I've learned a lot from that book. I haven't put everything into practice from that book, but I'm realizing that if I shift one little thing from all the things that I do, everything, even when you go to the store, go a different route. When you go to work, go a different route. Shift things around a little bit, because it's about becoming somebody new. Every day you evolve, you become more creative when you stop being so habitual. Because if you stay on that trajectory that you've always been, how else are you going to expect things to change if you're still doing the same thing? What's the meaning of insanity? Expecting a different result, but you're still doing things the same way as you've always done them, right? So that is another thing that has helped me a lot, going through all this.
Well, I know that the rest of my 50 cups will thank you for that because
Look at this.
I grabbed the same cup
I
and
grabbed a different one
and I
today.
and I open up my cupboards and I see a whole nothing but coffee cups. So I'm gonna try that from
Yeah.
here on out and switch that up and start there. But you're so right when you talk about as we're growing, being this human being, right? This who this person is, who you are. You have to explore the differences of life to see how much you can grow
Mhm.
every day. And yeah, flatline is definitely something you don't want ultimately, but you definitely don't want flatline life. And some people are living a life that's flatline, right? And it's terrible to watch, but I'm sure it's worse to experience. And so if you want to explore all that humanity and this world, this life has to offer, you have to be open to not think the same way as you have. And some of those thoughts do serve us still,
Mhm.
but a lot of those thoughts are the reason why we have not gone on to the next level, on to the next phase of life. And there are setbacks, right? That happens,
Yes.
but sometimes even those setbacks are a reset so that we can get on the right track. So
Absolutely.
you have to be open to the totality of this experience called humanity in order for you to be okay at the end of the day, right? With or without.
Yes. Yes.
Very powerful conversation.
We're all resilient. Go back to when you were a child. Children are not worried about. They're just in discovery mode all the time. They're open to create. They're open to just just go back to that. It's like, oh, I'll just pretend that I'm a captain. I'll just pretend that I'm in charge. My whole life has fallen apart. Well, let me pretend. And what may sound silly as pretending, it's almost like, okay, I am actually in charge of my life. No one's going to come to save me. Others may be around to help me, but at the end of the day, it's really up to me.
Right.
And once things get aligned, don't forget. Don't forget
Mm,
about those that opened their hearts and gave of what they could to you. Be grateful. Um, no one is exempt from going through hardship, and we're all here for each other. Humanity is about interconnectedness. We're here to help each other out.
definitely. Well, Gabe, thank you for joining us in here. We're about done. As we close out this conversation on humanity, I hope that it was enlightening for you. As I tell them where they can find your book, we'll definitely put it in the comments so that they can get that. But where can they get that?
So right now we only have the paperback, and it is on Amazon. Expect the hardcover to be available sometime in 2024, and it will be followed by the audiobook. And I do have a couple of other books right now that I'm writing. I haven't finished them yet.
So no slow down, folks. You
No
got to
slowdown.
explore. You got to explore. And yes, the best lessons in life come from hardships. Although we don't want to be there, that's where a lot of the training, a lot of the improvements happen. They are not for our demise. You just have to see what really is the goal of those times in our lives. But thank you so much, Alasa, for joining me for this last hour as we talk about humanity and how to get there. Folks, if you would be so kind as we come to a close on Aloha Friday Live, I want to make sure that everybody knows that we are looking for 600 subscribers in our YouTube channel. We're only about 21 away from reaching that mark. What's so important about 600? Yes, we get to 600, but we have a book launch or a book giveaway where every time we get to the next 100 mark, we give out a authored signed book from one of the guests on DTLW. So it would be our privilege and honor to have you as a subscriber. 21 to go. You can help us get there. And we are also streaming live on Parade Deck. So you can follow us there by going to the hyperlink on the bottom or in the comments. But follow us there. We are 7:31 for Aloha Friday Live on Parade Deck. And it would be so great to have you join us as a subscriber. Next week, we have another guest. So we wish you all a safe and great weekend. Be safe out there. And we'll see each other next week.
Mil gracias.